Yes, we are back, folks. We are live here at the Spring Spirit Drive here on Holy Family Radio. You just heard that song coming back from our break. It's Ave Maria from Matt Haley, one of my very favorite uh, covers of that famous song and that prayer. And yes, let our yes always be to the Lord Jesus Christ, especially in the fullness of the truth that is in the Catholic Church. So we're here as Catholic Radio to serve the church in any way we can to help to transform the culture by changing hearts and minds. You can help us in that mission by giving your best gift, by pledging that and donating today by calling 888-287-0655. That is 888-287-0655. You can also text GIVE to 419-969-3255. So it's at the 11 o'clock hour now. We've got our next guest on the line and ready to join us live here. And I want to welcome Peter Range, CEO of Ohio Right to Life. He's been a frequent guest at past Spring Spirit Drives. We want to welcome you today, Peter, to our Spirit Drive.
Deacon Jeff, always great to be with you. I can't wait for the next half hour.
Well, we can't wait either, but I tell you what, we shouldn't wait too long to get into some of the very important things that you are working on there here statewide for Right to Life.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. You know, where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. So we're facing a very dire situation here in the state of Ohio. And maybe I'll just jump in and talk to your listeners about what the situation is, what our response is in the pro-life movement, and then how they can kind of help moving forward. But I tell you what, a main part of this, though, is we have to support our Catholic apostolates like Holy Family Radio. I want to encourage listeners to call while I'm speaking at 888-287-0655. The way that we share the truth of the gospel is through these different mediums we've been given, including Catholic radio. It's just so very important. So please, please, please contribute during this half hour. Now, the situation with the pro-life cause right now here in the state of Ohio, if we could take a step back and look at Ohio in the context of the nation, since Roe v. Wade fell, and of course Roe v. Wade legalized abortion through all 9 months in this country, since it fell this past summer because of the Dobbs decision, there has been a movement on the left, the progressive left, to kind of push forward these ballot initiatives in each one of the states that would legalize abortion on demand in that particular state. So this happened in 3 different states this past year: California, Michigan, and New Hampshire. And in each one of those states, the pro-choice side was able to pass an amendment which legalized abortion on demand, painful late-term abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy. Now, the pro-life attempted to put pro-life ballot initiatives on the ballot in 3 states: Montana, Kansas, and Kentucky. And they were unsuccessful in those states. So 6 states, Deacon Jeff, lost their battles at the ballot when it came to this life issue. In 2024, we're expecting 11 states across the country to have these ballot initiatives on their ballot when it comes to the presidential election year. But here's the key: in 2023, there's only 1 state that potentially could have this ballot initiative that we could be voting on that's right here in the state of Ohio. And this is kind of like a Gettysburg type moment, if you will, for the pro-life movement. There's been some victories that the progressive left has won in some of these other states, but now they're coming into a state which tends to vote red, tends to be pretty conservative, and they're attempting to pass a pro-choice initiative here. So there's 2 groups that are attempting to do this. This is Planned Parenthood, the ACLU. They've hired a group called Mission Control. They run Progressive Senator Sherrod Brown's campaign here in the state of Ohio, using very conservative language to kind of get him elected year in and year out here in the state. And we're going to see those types of commercials here in the state because they are the group that defeated the pro-life initiatives in Kansas and Kentucky. So this is a very sharp group. They work with the ACLU. They work with Planned Parenthood. They're very good at what they do. And here's the danger, and this is really what I need your listeners to understand and appreciate. This isn't just your normal, kind of pro-life or pro-choice legislation. This particular amendment would enshrine the right to abortion in our state constitution. It would eliminate parental consent. It would eliminate the 24-hour waiting period. It would eliminate the Down Syndrome Non-Discrimination Act. It would allow late-term painful abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy. It would allow chemical abortions on demand and over-the-counter purchase of the drugs without a doctor involved. And it would eliminate health and safety standards for abortion clinics. Now, those are all big claims. Why do I say that? If you go to the actual language itself, listen to what it says. It says, quote, every individual has a right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions. Full stop right there. The document itself, their amendment, doesn't even say the word woman. It doesn't even say the word mother. It doesn't mention them at all. They talk about being for moms and women, but they don't even use the term. They say individual. So by using the word individual, that applies and doesn't limit it to adults. This right to abortion would apply to even teenagers. Now, here's the other key part. It says including but not limited to decisions on contraception, fertility treatment, continuing one's own pregnancy, miscarriage care, and abortion. First of all, the first 4 things, there's no laws against any of those things here in the state of Ohio. So this is all about that last thing they mentioned, the issue of abortion. But it also says that these reproductive decisions are not limited to those issues. So when you go to the lawyers on the websites of ACLU and Planned Parenthood, what else is included in these reproductive decisions? It's transgender health care. So Planned Parenthood has become the second leading provider of cross-sex hormones in the country. They are after our kids, and your 14-year-old daughter or 14-year-old son who's struggling with their gender identity could go to a Planned Parenthood if this amendment is passed and without your permission could receive these drugs to begin transitioning to a different sex. That's what we're facing. This goes well beyond the issue of abortion because of the way that they have worded this. And we know from court cases that from Pink versus Indiana, Planned Parenthood versus Alaska, people can look up these cases. The ACLU routinely argues in court, and Planned Parenthood argues in court, that parental consent is a burden. But again, don't even have to look up the court cases. Go to Planned Parenthood's website. On their website, they tell teenagers, if your state does have parental involvement laws, that you can go and get an abortion without telling your parents. That's called judicial bypass. You click on that link, and it kind of walks you through how to get it, how to get an abortion without your parents' consent. Now, the other dangerous thing about this amendment, again, going back to this reality that it allows abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy, it says in the document itself that the treating physician can protect the pregnant patient's life or health. Now, first of all, the treating physician in this case is the abortion doctor. So how do we think he's going to decide on these particular cases? But secondly, they use that word health. Now, that is a legal term. So I know a lot of Catholics actually who have already signed the petition signature to get this on the ballot because they think, in certain circumstances, we got to allow abortion for X, Y, or Z circumstance, but they have no idea what they're signing. They are signing on to allowing legislation, allowing a constitutional amendment that would allow abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. So Doe v. Bolton, which is the court's Roe v. Wade's companion case, the court defined health, the Supreme Court, to include all factors: physical, emotional, psychological, familial, the woman's age, all relevant to the well-being of the mother. So the mother could cite any of those circumstances as to why she needs an abortion at the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th month, and she could have an abortion under this amendment, a painful late-term abortion where the child's legs and arms are ripped off from the mother into the mother's womb. I mean, that's what we're talking about here in the state of Ohio. Lastly, when it comes to this language, they use the word burden, that the state shall not burden, penalize, prohibit, interfere with, discriminate against either an individual's volunteer exercise of this right or a person or entity that assists an individual exercising this right. So two key things here. One, going back to that term burden. In Planned Parenthood versus Casey, 1992, they talked about an undue burden, that there could be restrictions on access to abortion as long as it didn't provide an undue burden to the woman seeking an abortion. So an activist judge is going to be very easily say, that 24-hour waiting period, that's an undue burden on a woman, and it goes against the Constitution of Ohio if this thing passes. Secondly, they said we cannot discriminate against an individual's voluntary exercise of this right or a person or entity that assists an individual exercising this right. So imagine what that means. You've got a soccer coach who possibly takes a 14-year-old who's seeking an abortion to the abortion facility? Does this not enable abusers more and more, again, without parental rights and consent, here in the state of Ohio? I mean, Ohio is going to become an abortion capital because of this language. And the left, they've gotten prideful, right? They're 6-0. They've defeated all these amendments, so they think they can come into Ohio and they can defeat it here. You can find all this information, as my friend Allison Stump may have mentioned earlier in the radio program, at protectwomenohio.com. But I'm super excited to be partnering with Catholic Radio, just like I am right now, to get the word out there. So I invite your listeners, call 888-287-0655, donate to Catholic Radio. That's going to be a huge resource for us to get the truth out there about the dangers of this amendment. And Carrie Campbell Severino, Frank Scaturo, these are individuals who have clerked at the United States Supreme Court. You can find their article where they break down this language on our website, protectwomenohio.com. So, Jeff, I'd love to go into a little bit of kind of what's our response here in the state of Ohio and how people can help out. But I want to pause just in case you have any questions or thoughts that you would like to insert.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question, and I can't escape my lawyer brain. But you said that the amendment contained language about burden. Does it say undue burden or just burden, if you know?
So it used multiple words. It just says burden, but it also says that the state shall not directly or indirectly burden, penalize, prohibit, interfere with, or discriminate against either an individual's voluntary exercise, and it continues on with that. So, I'm not sure how many more adjectives you can put in there to make it more concrete that they are looking to protect an individual's so-called right to abortion or these other reproductive decisions.
Yeah, those words in particular, burden and interfere, really trouble me. Just knowing how those are interpreted judicially. That raises alarm bells, for me. I mean, the whole thing raises alarm bells, but, undue burden is one standard. That's a higher standard, a more difficult standard to demonstrate. But for the language to only say burden, interfere, you're absolutely right. That's going to just strike down the first case that goes to a court. It's going to strike down the 24-hour waiting period. It's going to, it's just going to really make it almost impossible to regulate abortion in any manner whatsoever. The health and safety of the clinics, is so many ramifications from this kind of language.
That's right. And the abortion industry is already one of the most unregulated industries in the United States of America, including here in Ohio. I mean, think about this. We were able to get updated daily statistics on the COVID pandemic. How many individuals have been infected, hospitalizations, things of that nature on a daily basis from the Ohio Department of Health. But it takes us an entire year to get our abortion statistics. That is just simply inexcusable, and part of it is they need more manpower and resources just to make sure that they are checking the forms that even come into their center from these abortion facilities. Now, if we're not able to regulate these abortion facilities at all, I mean, you talk about cases involving like Kermit Gosnell out of Philadelphia. Those types of situations are going to become more and more common if these abortion doctors who most of the time cannot be employed by anybody else because nobody else wants to employ them based upon their records and background, they're going to have free reign here in the state of Ohio to do or continue their nefarious work to kill preborn children and not care about the health and safety standards of women in our state.
That's really the key there, because the lack of regulation, anybody who claims that they're for women's health should want regulation of, even if they don't agree with us on the pro-life stance, they should and claim to support women's health. Mm-hmm. And to, you're essentially denying that and subjecting women to all kinds of butchery. And these are real. These things happen. These things absolutely happen where women bleed out. They get all kinds of terrible complications. It's not a, maybe, but that's unrealistic in modern day. No, it happens. Mm-hmm. It absolutely happens. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Peter, because you're so great. We just wind you up and let you go.
No. I mean, you're hitting it right on target here. And even if you're an individual who, maybe identifies as pro-choice, or you're a pro-lifer and you believe that there should be certain exceptions. Now, we may disagree on those things, but even if you find yourself in one of those categories, if you have any children at all, do you want to be cut out of the most important decisions they could be making as a 14, 15, or 16-year-old, changing their sex or getting an abortion? These are not decisions that should be taken out and away from the kitchen tables of our families here in Ohio. But again, this is exactly what the ACLU and Planned Parenthood has been after, and they have argued this in court. It's indisputable. So they continue to say in the media, oh, they're lying and so on and so forth, but it's on their own websites that they talk about how to get a judicial bypass. It's on their own websites talking about that they think that parental consent is a burden for our young people. Parents deserve to be involved and engaged in these most serious decisions of their kids' lives. And so it's so very important that we get the people of Ohio to respond. And, the tough thing is here, when you just look at this face value, the way that they've kind of, crafted this language, which kind of seems nebulous. I mean, if you didn't know some of these terms that they have kind of legal meaning, you would think, oh, well, that doesn't sound terrible or not too bad. And so 55% of Ohioans, when they see this language just on its face, they would say that they're likely to support something of this nature. And only 30% would say that they would oppose. So that means we start at a 25-point disadvantage going into this battle or this fight. But when you tell people that this is going to allow late-term abortions on demand, no protections for the unborn, 71% of Ohioans will say they're less likely to support it. When you say that it's going to impact health and safety standards for women, 73% of Ohioans say they're less likely to support it. When you say that this is going to allow men to pressure women into getting unwanted abortions, 76% of Ohioans said, yeah, we don't want to support that, even those who identify as liberal or progressive. So there are winning messages that we need to get out there, and that's why Catholic radio is just so important. We need to reach, of course, we need to reach the rest of Ohio. And we have ads and we have digital marketing that is geared towards just that. But like I said before, if we have Catholics that I know that are going out there and signing this petition to get it on the November ballot, we have to take care of our own house first. And that's where Catholic radio is just so key to kind of get the truth out there. So call in 888-287-0655. So very important that you call in, support Catholic radio so we can get the truth out there. We need our pastors and our deacons preaching about this, not 6 weeks from now, not 6 months from now when it's close to election, but right now, because this is when people are making up their minds. We studied those other states, and one of the mistakes that we found, and not every state did this, and there was different reasons why they jumped into the battle at the points that they did, but a lot of them waited to kind of jump into the battle from a public perspective. One of the things differently that we're doing here in Ohio is we are framing the debate immediately. So through the gift of SBA Pro-Life America, we have a $5 million ad buy that has been running the last 4 to 5 weeks. You can see these commercials at protectwomenohio.com. They've run heavily in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, those heavy metropolitan areas. But we are framing this issue immediately for what it is. And this is a dangerous and extreme amendment that allows abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy, takes away your parental rights, and impacts health and safety standards. And look, we're not those other states either. Governor Mike DeWine, who's not always the most even popular Republican or conservative governor, he won 85 of 88 counties here in the state of Ohio, despite running against Nan Whaley, who ran her entire campaign on the abortion issue. So we know we can win here, but we need the people of Ohio really to step up and join our team, which is a fantastic team, which includes CRC advisors as our main war room partners. These are individuals who have run and helped assist in presidential campaigns, judicial, Supreme Court nominations. They are partnered with a local Ohio political group called Swing State Strategies. And then we have our coalition of the Ohio Right to Life Action Coalition, the Center for Christian Virtue. The pro-life movement in Ohio is united and is together to fight this thing. So locally, what we need the people of God to do is first and foremost to pray. And again, that's where Catholic Radio is just so important. You guys help people to pray. You tell them how to pray. You show them how to pray. It's so important. So call in 888-287-0655. Donate to Catholic Radio and help them out. So we're asking people individually, though, on a very specific timeline at 7:14 a.m. and 7:14 p.m. to pray in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14, which states, "If my people who are called by my name humble themselves, pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land." We have to win this first and foremost on the spiritual battlefield, because that's exactly where abortion comes from. It comes from spiritual forces of evil. It comes right from the pits of hell. So we have to send it back there, and the only way it's going back is if we pray. So join us every day, 7:14 a.m., 7:14 p.m. in that spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people humble themselves and pray, the Lord will forgive our land and heal us. Secondly, we're going to need volunteers. We're going to need everybody of the people of God, every church, every congregation to come out and help us. So you can sign up at protectwomenohio.com. You can sign up, a little volunteer button right there. You can sign up with us at ohiolife.org. Tremendously appreciate your willingness to kind of go door to door with us and provide information. So if you want little flyers, we have that on Ohio Rights Life. We can provide that to you. Call us up. Send us an email off the website at ohiolife.org, and we'll get you that information. Lastly, as I said, donating to Catholic Radio is a huge way you can kind of help and support this cause at 888-287-0655. But we'll also need help at the campaign. So whether that's at ohiolife.org and donating to the effort, all our monies are going towards protectwomenohio.com. You can also donate on that website as well, protectwomenohio.com. But realistically, we need to raise here in the state of Ohio $25 million to stay competitive. We have our national partners who are coming alongside us, who have committed to raise another 20 to 25 million. So in total, we need to raise close to 50 million to stay competitive. In Michigan, for example, the pro-choice side raised about $60 million for their campaigns and their commercials. So this is so very important that we're out there, and each one of us is a fundraiser when it comes to this campaign. So I really ask people to pray about what they're going to give to Catholic Radio, and then pray about what they can give directly to this campaign, because we need everybody in this battle, in this fight. Each one of us plays an important role, including you guys there at Holy Family, and your guys' ability to share the truth in love to a populace and to a church which needs to hear it, not next month, not 6 months from now, but right now, today. So thank you so much for having me on so I could do just that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I hope that you know that we are in this battle with you, and that we will do our best to be able to be a media partner in any way that we can, to be able to spread the word, to, prevent and educate people on the language and what this is really about, what the tactics are of those who are trying to get this done, as well as informing them about, don't sign a petition that you're not certain, certain of what it's for, so that it doesn't, make it into even become a ballot measure itself. Yeah. So we need to try to defeat it at its first step, because the battle is even tougher at that second step.
Yeah, without a doubt. A lot of people think, I can sign a petition, and then I could change my mind, on the vote when it hits the ballot. And with this being an off presidential election year in quotes, mm-hmm. what that means is generally, of course, lower voter turnout, and or only the really galvanized mm-hmm. show up.
That's right.
And that can be dangerous if the pro-abortion folks are really pushing this hard, that there might be a imbalanced show up at the polls. So we don't want it to get there.
That's right.
We want to stop it here. The parental consent is required in Ohio to get ear piercings.
Mm. Yeah.
Ear piercings. I mean, we're not even talking medical procedures. We're talking simple ear piercings. Up to 18, you have to have parental consent. It's crazy to support an amendment that would take away parental consent for a decision that, it may be the biggest decision somebody's ever makes in their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's incredible to think about because the signatures collectors that are out there right now in the state, they're staying outside, Walmart parking lots or post offices, and what they're telling people to sign this amendment to get it on the ballot. And again, so our listeners understand, they have to get around 415,000 signatures by July 1st to get this on the November ballot. But basically what they're telling people as they're asking them to sign this is, hey, do you support a woman's right to health care? And so people are signing that saying, oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I support a woman's right to health care. But they don't realize what they're actually signing is the stripping of parental rights, their own parental rights when it comes to their kids. They're signing something that's going to allow abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy and eliminate these health and safety standards. So that's why Catholic radio is just so very important to kind of get the word out there and the information about the reality and the dangers of this amendment. The left has gotten very prideful because, again, they're 6-0 in these other states. We need to win here in Ohio, and we believe that if we can win here in Ohio, those other 11 states in 2024 that are in danger, we'll be able to provide them a blueprint with how you defeat the left on this particular issue. So Ohio is so incredibly key. I invite your listeners to really give sacrificially to the cause.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Ohio, leans red, but it's somewhat of a swing state. And so what happens here is going to be really critical for both sides. So it's not a, wait and see kind of issue. It's the fight is here. It is now. It is in your backyard, our backyard.
Right.
Peter, do you have a minute to talk with us about the expected decision from the Supreme Court, or do you need to run?
No, I've got a minute or two. I think, maybe more importantly, Kim, if we could just focus on, because it comes back to this decision on what we will be voting for in November, is there could potentially be an August special election here in Ohio. Right now, to change our Constitution, all you need is a citizen-led initiative with 50% of the vote plus one. So you get 50% of Ohioans to agree that, marijuana is okay. You can get that passed through a constitutional amendment. You can get, as it already has happened in our state, casinos and sports gambling passed here in the state with a little over 50%. So we are looking at the state constitution and supporting efforts as well to change that threshold to get it to 60%. But I want to encourage your listeners, please, beyond even what may happen to the Supreme Court with Heartbeat this summer, we really need them to call their representatives and ask them to support the 60% threshold for Ohio's Constitution, and inform our voters as well to go out there and to vote for a 60% threshold. It just makes sense that 6 out of 10 Ohioans should agree to change our foundational document as a state. So this goes beyond, just the issue of life. This is a lot of other issues that affect family. It affects things like minimum wage. It affects marijuana use, all those things of that nature. If all you need is 50% of the vote plus one to change our House Constitution, that's dangerous for any state. Some really nefarious things with enough money can come into our state and pour their special interest money into our state and get whatever they want passed. So I really encourage people, support the 60% threshold and go out and vote in this August election, special election, which we hope will happen very soon.
That's a great plug, and I actually wasn't aware of that being an issue. So we appreciate you raising that for our listeners, so that folks can key in on that and get out to the ballot boxes there in August if that in fact happens. I mean, 60%, that's still less than the federal requirement. To change the federal Constitution, it has to be 2/3. We're just looking to be a little bit more aligned with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, Peter, we know you have to go. Thank you so very much for your time. Your information was very helpful. I think our listeners can really appreciate everything that you had to share with us. So we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to share all that information with us, and we thank you.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I love you guys. Please keep me in prayer as I travel the state. I'll be in Ashland tonight, Cincinnati tomorrow. I'll continue to spread the good news and the gospel of life, which is the good news. Jesus Christ came and saved and died for us so that we could have new life. Blessed be his name, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, listeners, that was Peter Range, CEO of Ohio Right to Life. He joins us, I think, every year. And as long as his schedule permits, and he does such a great job of just synthesizing. He does it. I can't even say it. really explaining the issues in a concrete manner so that we can understand them. We can really understand what's at risk in these things, such as the ballot initiative that's really being aggressively pushed by the liberal side to, enshrine the right to abortion up through 9 months. So he gave us some great information, but, you heard all that and you learned all that through Catholic radio. Not that there aren't other sources out there. There's great websites. There's all kinds of good places, but Catholic radio is so important in bringing you not only the content that you need, but in a timely manner, so that you can become educated about these really, really important issues. But we need your support to continue to bring you quality Catholic radio programming. Give us a call, won't you, at 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655.
That's right. Go online to our website also, holyfamilyradio.fm, holyfamilyradio.fm, to make your donation. You can also watch this live stream off of our website. You can watch our live stream off of our mobile app if you have that. To do that, by the way, my wife asked me, where do I find that on my mobile app? Well, in the mobile app, in that top left-hand corner, you got those 3 little bars. Drops down a menu. It's in blue with white text. Right in about in the middle of that menu is a watch live link. So it takes you right to a page. And once you press the play button, boom, there we are. We show up. You can watch and listen as you go about your day. And you can also donate from our mobile app. There's a donate button in the lower right-hand corner with the heart. It takes you to our online giving page. Same thing if you text 419-969-3255. It takes you to the exact same link, and you can make your donation there online. Safe, one-time, or recurring donation, doesn't really matter. So just ask that you consider helping us so that we can help organizations like Protect Women Ohio from offering and enabling laws and measures be taken to restrict parental consent and parental rights, really, and being able to do things that are the antithesis to what it means to be a family and it means to be a parent, and has far-reaching implications beyond just the simple abortion and life issue.
Yeah, very far-reaching. We didn't go into it quite as much with Peter as we did with Allison, but
right.
Implications for the transgender movement and the possibility that kids underage, your teenager could go seek hormones and procedures along this without any involvement or counseling from parents. So just a lot. I mean, we could talk about all the implications, but Peter did a great job of explaining it, as did Allison, of course. If you want more information on this particular issue, go to protectwomenohio.com. They have a lot of information there, as well as at ohiolife.org.
Right. So we're going to take a break. We'll probably take we're going to take a underwriter break, and I'll probably then next play either a Bishop's Corner program. I pressed the button. Stop.
We'll play that for you during the break that we're taking.
We're not live. There, now we're back live. I hit my button prematurely, so took us to a break before I was planning on it. So there's the dangers of live radio. There's no way to edit that out, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So, I'm going to take a break. We'll either play a Bishop's Corner program for the next half hour so that we can, half hour or so that we can grab a little bit of lunch and get ready for our next guest. It's going to be at 12:30 is our next guest. It's Bart and Mindy Recker to talk about their personal testimony and journey over the last couple of years with COVID. That it's a story of faith and perseverance, not only of a couple or a family, but also of a whole community. So really looking forward to that chat here in a little while. So you're listening to the Spring Spirit Drive here on Holy Family Radio. I'm Deacon Jeff along with Kim. We thank you for joining us. Keep listening, keep praying, keep thinking about and donating to us and to this great cause. So 888-287-0655, 888-287-0655. We'll take a break and we'll be back with you in a short while.